My name is Amata, and in this Red Gamer Tech video I'm here with the latest from the tech world in the last 24 or so hours. Today I have a rather mobile heavy video for you as we're going to kick things off with the Huawei P20, as we had various leaks regarding the price and release date and all that juicy stuff, and we also have some rumours as to what Samsung are going to be doing for the Note 9. And our final item is going to be a little bit outside of our usual remit, as we have physical music sales figures versus digital for 2017. Not something we usually discuss, but like many, I have a passion for music, not exactly a unique trait by any means, and I think it's interesting what we're going to be discussing there, so I just definitely wanted to include it. So as I said, let's begin with the Huawei P20. So these leaks come from our ever helpful folks at techradar.com, and there's going to be a link in the description below this video to their article, which I would suggest you read. I'm of course going to give you the cliff notes as always. So while this phone is going to launch until March the 27th, that hasn't stopped a bunch of leaks from happening, and now we have some cool details on the device. Now, for those of you who keep your ear to the ground for all things mobile, we now have the confirmation that it is going to be called the P20. There were some rumours, if you perhaps pay attention to this sort of thing, you would have heard that it was going to be called the P11, but it is actually going to be called the P20. So we're going to be seeing three variants, the P20, P20 Pro, and P20 Lite. The 20 and the Pro variants are set to have front-facing fingerprint scanners, while the Lite will have a digit reader on the rear. Unsurprisingly, we're going to see big screens for all of them, with the P20 Lite expected to be the smallest at 5.6 inches, with the P20 having 5.8 inches and the Pro having 6.1. Now obviously these are all leaks, so do take that for what it's worth. These might be incorrect, or they might be spot on, we'll have to wait and see. But we are hearing that both the Lite and the P20 were going to have dual rear-facing cameras, while the Pro is going to have 3 cameras on the rear, potentially reaching up to 40 megapixels, which is pretty damn crazy. So you might go, okay, well that's great, but what about the specs? Well, we're going to see the Kirin 970 chipset within these, and they're going to have a rumoured 8GB of RAM alongside it, and we're going to have 128GB of storage in both the P20 and P20 Pro. So, what about the cost, I hear you ask? Well, it's going to cost roughly $830 or £600, and is going to be releasing in April. Now you said, oh, I thought you said it was launching on March 27th. Well, when I say launching, it's going to be available for purchase. The specs are going to be officially confirmed. The price is going to be officially confirmed. All that good stuff. We do have a couple of extra things to get through before we call this particular segment, as leaks around the P20 Pro do suggest that alongside the 6.1 inch screen, we're going to have a 2240 by 1080 OLED screen with a 19:9 aspect ratio. Now unfortunately there wasn't really much to be said about the battery life, but we do have a more efficient chipset in the heart of the device, so that in itself is obviously going to result in better battery life, even assuming no improvements in the battery itself versus previous iterations. But I would imagine that we're going to have fast charging, no wireless, that sort of thing, and we're going to be seeing improvements in longevity and all that good stuff in the battery itself, as well as the extra helping hand of having a more efficient chipset at the core, as I already said. All in all, to be honest, it's looking rather impressive, with the P20 and P20 Pro looking to pack quite the camera. Now, I've always said that having a expensive camera is great and all, but it's all about how you make use of it. I mean, as someone who did study video production at university, you kind of have to make do with what you have, and sometimes that restriction in, okay, all I have is my phone, or all I have is, a budget of 5p, it forces you to be more creative. And some of the best student films I've seen personally have been shot on an iPhone or something of similar to that. So it's definitely nice to see companies pushing the camera as much as they are, and just looking at the few snaps that we have, which you can find in Tech Radar's article, it's looking to be rather impressive indeed. And I would expect nothing less given how much the damn thing costs, to be quite frank with you. So let's move on from that to Samsung. So we have sources familiar with the Korea Herald basically saying that we're going to have Samsung putting a fingerprint sensor inside the main display of the Galaxy Note 9. Now this is a bit up in the air according to these very same sources, as they have prepared, according to the sources, quote, 3 or 4 solutions for Samsung to embed this sensor in the main display. So they're still toying with exactly how they're going to do this, and obviously if it's actually going to be possible, but it is something they're actually looking at. And a final decision on the tech is going to be made by the end of the month, again according to these sources, which will still leave Samsung plenty of time to finalise any design and obviously manufacture the phone and all that sort of thing. So apparently Samsung have been working on this for quite some time, but solutions they have come up with so far haven't met their expectations, and obviously we're still seeing them working on it. So we're not going to be seeing it thrown in half-heartedly with what they have in mind, obviously. So if we do see it, it's going to be a long time coming, as it were, and will probably minimise even further the amount of black border surrounding the screen. Obviously we're seeing phones basically becoming all screen at this point. It's weird how phones evolve. I mean, I remember when I was in college, phone companies were obsessed with making phones as small as possible, where you'd have to there with a pen to type your texts and all that. It was silly, and now we've actually got phones that are usable by human hands. It's quite good actually in comparison to that. Although I do miss my 3310. Good times. Anyway, let's move on to our final topic, which is regarding, as I said, physical versus digital music sales for 2017. Now, the music industry is similar to the games industry in a lot of ways. So let's go, oh whoa, this new technology is going to kill me, oh no, but it seems that digital has yet to actually kill physical music sales yet. According to revenue statistics report from the Recording Industry Association of America, physical music sales have surpassed digital music download revenue by a rather significant margin of $200 million. And what's interesting is we actually saw a drop in digital download revenue by 25%, whereas physical media revenue only dropped by 4% to $1.5 billion, and because I forgot to mention it just now, the 25% drop for digital downloads was to $1.3 billion. So, as I said, this is a little bit of a peek under the hood for physical music sales versus digital download revenue. Now, the music industry is a little bit similar to the gaming industry. It likes to cry that this next big thing is going to kill the industry, rip in pieces, but obviously physical music sales, while of course they are less popular than they used to be, has yet to be killed. And an interesting report from the Recording Industry Association of America has said that physical music sales have surpassed digital download revenue by an impressive margin of $200 million. What's interesting, however, is that digital download revenue actually dropped by 25% to $1.3 billion, whereas physical media revenue also saw a drop, but only a 4% to 1.5. You might go, okay, that's a bit strange. I mean, surely physical music sales is becoming less relevant. And yes, for a lot of people, that's true. I know numerous people who still like to collect physical. Myself, my music is almost purely digital these days, but to be honest with you, that's a space issue rather than a preference issue. I actually like to collect vinyl, but that's extremely expensive, and less said about the amount of money I've spent on vinyl, the better. But I think for many people, they like owning the physical disc, despite the fact that it's obviously taking up space and that sort of thing. But for a lot of people, digital is the way of the future. So you might go, okay, this seems a bit odd, but it's actually due to the popularity of music streaming services. So while it's nice to be like, yeah, I own this album, I've downloaded it onto my hard drive and I can listen to it whenever I want. But obviously things like Spotify and Amazon Music are becoming the top dogs of the music industry at the moment. And further, according to the very same report, the music streaming platform revenue accounted for 65% of the total revenue during 2017, and it came in at an impressive $5.7 billion. So basically, streaming services absolutely smashed it in terms of the amount they brought in versus both physical and digital downloads. And this is a significant increase than we have seen in previous years. For example, we have seen the streaming services bring in 1.8, 2.3 and 4 billion in 2014, 2015 and 2016 respectively. So obviously there's going to be a point where this starts to taper off and perhaps something better will come along, but I think for a lot of people streaming is just more convenient. You don't have to worry about downloading music onto your phone or your MP3 player. I don't even know the last time I used an MP3 player, to be honest. I think that's the case for a lot of people. So we might see this trend continue. We might see digital downloads become second dog to streaming, with physical bringing up the rear, or we might see something new come along. I don't know what, obviously, but can't predict the future, I'm afraid. crystal ball. It's gone missing, as always. Anyway, that's me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.